It is Techtember, and following on from our video a few days ago rounding up all that we know about the M1X MacBook Pro, it seemed only right to do the same for the iPhone 13, and so in this video we will cover the design, displays, camera, connectivity, audio, mics, performance, battery size, and also the pricing and release date for this year's iPhone 13 mini, iPhone 13, iPhone 13 Pro, and iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm going to have to say that a lot of times. I'm iCaveDave, and I simplify Apple so that everything just works for you. And if you want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours every weekday at 12 UTC, like this video, subscribe to the channel and ring my bell. Go on, I'll wait while you press those buttons. And in this video, all of the renders that you see will be via Apple Tomorrow, our partner that we use for all of our render delights. Thank you very much to RenderBoy Apple Tomorrow. First up, design. In terms of the iPhone 13's design, it's unlikely to feature huge changes from the 2020 iPhone 12, but if you're looking for the changes, they will be there. For example, the camera layout is set to change on the iPhone 13 and 13 mini to having the lenses opposite corners of the square camera bump, rather than the vertical layout that the iPhone 12 features, giving more space for bigger lenses. Think of it like number 2 on a dice. The iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max will also see changes with a larger overall camera bump, at least on the Pro, and the Pro iPhone 13 models could also be getting slightly thicker than the 12 models, potentially to accommodate the different display technology that we'll be talking about shortly. However, on both the regular and Pro models, the biggest difference that most people will notice will be right at the top of the display, as Apple is finally moving to a new version of Face ID with a smaller notch, repositioning the speaker opening to the very top edge of the display so that it becomes a notch of its own that meets the metal band of the phone with the sensors closer together below. This new Face ID is potentially able to still unlock the phone while the user is wearing either foggy glasses or a face mask, so it's a pretty impressive piece of technology which Apple's team are currently training using add-on cases for the iPhone 12 in order to avoid the iPhone 13 models being out in the wild, as leaked by John Prosser. In terms of displays and cameras, iPhone sizes are defined by their display sizes, with the iPhone 13 mini expected to use a 5.4-inch OLED panel with 2340 by 1080 pixel display at 476 ppi. The iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro will get 6.1-inch displays, again OLED, but with 2532 by 1170 resolution and 460 ppi. The Pro, as well as the Pro Max, though, will be getting variable refresh rate displays, which Apple brands as ProMotion, allowing the refresh rate to dynamically change between 1 and 120 Hz. The larger iPhone 13 Pro Max will have a 6.7-inch 2778 by 1284 display at 458 ppi. These ProMotion displays allow much smoother animations than the regular 60Hz phones, although I have to say it's one of the features I'm least excited about, if I'm honest. When creators have to show the smoothness in slow motion, to be able to perceive it, I'm not that impressed. It just puts more pressure on those processors. The displays across the board will keep HDR Dolby Vision support, True Tone that adjusts the colour temperature dynamically to your environment, P3 wide colour gamut, haptic touch, 2:1 contrast ratios, and 800 nits of full screen brightness, and 1200 nits of point brightness in HDR mode. On the camera side, however, it's expected that the iPhone 13 range will all get sensor shift stabilization from the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which I can vouch for being pretty insanely good. The larger lenses will allow larger apertures, which allow in more light, reducing the noise in images, and the more light the better, as it's likely that one of the key photography selling points for the iPhone 13 will be astrophotography, which tends to be in pretty dark situations. For video, building on last year's HDR Dolby Vision recording, it looks like Apple will bring ProRes recording to the Pro models, as well as portrait mode video, allowing the LiDAR sensors in the Pro models to build a depth map of the scene and then add artificial bokeh to your video based on your distance from the focused subject. This, as with portrait mode photos, will allow you to adjust the depth of field in post-production, giving even more control than with most professional camera setups. There's also been talk of improvement to the ultra-wide cameras in the iPhone 13, though little detail, but I'd love to see the iPad Pro center stage come to all the iPhones on the front-facing camera, or at least the iPhone 13 Pro models this year. Center stage allows FaceTime and other video calls to actually trace you around the room and move the effective camera crop around to follow you. Connectivity. Of course, the iPhone 13 range will finally embrace USB-C and dump the Lightning connector once and for all, is what I'm sure you all want me to say, but it looks very much like Apple has no plans to bring the more cross-platform connector to the iPhone anytime soon, with a more likely change being Apple dumping the whole idea of ports in general in the coming years. Apple has embraced the MagSafe standard as the future of charging your iPhone. Now, a lot of people have been worried about how to fix software issues and the like without a physical restore port, but this has already been addressed on the Mac, recovery mode and internet recovery. This is where you can use files stored in a small area of your device to repair your installation and fix it from fresh files online if that somehow fails. But there's no need to worry about that, because it looks like this year we are sticking with Lightning and MagSafe as your charging options, so you've still got physical ports on the phones for this year at least. Now, in terms of wireless, Apple has added 5G last year. In case you didn't notice, they did mention it a couple of times in the presentation, although the ultra-fast millimeter wave version was a US only feature, and this may well be rolled out to far more countries in 2021. Not only this, but also the latest rumours via Guoming suggest that Apple may have produced a custom version of Qualcomm's X60 chip, allowing its iPhones to work via low Earth orbit satellite communications in emergency situations for voice calls and limited character SMS-style text messages. Bear in mind, this is not Apple adding Starlink or something like that to the phones. It's not going to be for data as far as we know. It's purely going to be for those emergency situations, disaster relief, all that kind of thing. And it adds to the legacy of Apple's Watch, saving lives left, right and centre. Of course, Apple will also include up-to-date Bluetooth and Wi-Fi standards like Wi-Fi 6E as well. Audio and mics. While the internal speakers of an iPhone are of course less capable than something like an iMac, Apple right now does allow lossless music from the Apple Music app to play directly through the iPhone speakers for some reason, and they do offer better bass than most given the size of the device. More important to Apple though is true wireless audio through its AirPods line, and while AirPods don't currently offer lossless audio, perhaps we could see AirPlay being sent to AirPods instead of Bluetooth. It's unclear if the existing AirPods have the hardware for this, but if not, the expected AirPods 3 that are likely to launch alongside could well be the first to add the feature, and if it needs specific hardware on the send side, iPhone 13 would be a great place to introduce it. In terms of the mics, where there have been no specific leaks, it would be excellent if Apple was to introduce improved mic arrays that could also record spatial audio around your phone while you take videos, adding to the immersion on the platform. As I say, this is by no means confirmed, but it seems like a pretty decent possibility, and the kind of thing that wouldn't really get leaked in hardware beforehand. Pretty much a software feature. Performance and architecture. The A15 that will power the iPhone 13 is expected to follow the same format as A14, there's going to be a lot of numbers here, with 2 performance cores and 4 energy efficient cores, and it's thought that the performance cores this year will be known as Avalanche cores, after last year's Firestorm and Ice Storm cores. Answers in the comments on what you think the efficiency cores will be called. There would also be a 4-core GPU, a neural engine, image signal processors, hardware video decoders, and more, all baked into that single SoC, along with the RAM and the storage. Performance-wise, we'd expect to see around a 20% bump over last year's chip, so potentially looking at a single-core performance going from around 1650 to around 1980, and 4250 to 5100 in multi-core tests. These numbers are always speculative, as it depends where Apple decides to put their balance point between performance and efficiency, however, how hard they want to push these chips at the cost of thermal performance and battery life. That said, even the current A14 handily beats the flagship Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 by a large margin. I think its single-core performance is somewhere just under 1,000. Speaking of battery performance, the iPhone 13 range is expected to benefit from larger batteries than its iPhone 12 brother, with the iPhone 13 mini getting a 2406 mAh battery, the 13 and 13 Pro sharing a 3095 mAh unit, and the iPhone 13 Pro Max getting a 4332 mAh battery. These are all up between 10 and 20% due to Apple reportedly using flexible logic boards in order to allow more space inside for the batteries. Storage and pricing. While there have been some recent reports from TSMC, Apple's chip fab of choice, raising their prices due to high demand, this is thought to be happening in January, and as far as we know, Apple has already ordered 100 million A15 SoCs from the company, which have likely already been delivered, so I don't believe the pricing will actually be affected by this increase. There have been multiple reports of the iPhone 13 getting a 1TB storage option, though I'd only expect this to come to the Pro lineup. and I'd still only expect 3 storage options on each iPhone, so my hope is that the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max will offer 256GB, 512GB and 1TB options, with the iPhone 13 mini and iPhone 13 offering a 128GB starting storage, increasing to 256 and 512 at the high end. Even with these storage bumps, I do expect that the pricing will remain at $699 for the iPhone 13 mini, $799 for the iPhone 13, $999 for the iPhone 13 Pro, and $1099 for the Pro Max. Be aware though that if you're a fan of the iPhone mini form factor, and apparently not many are, this may be your last opportunity to buy them, as the comparatively low sales for this smallest model means that Apple is likely to remove it from the range next year, replacing it with a non-Pro Max sized device. iPhone 13 release dates. I'm expecting the iPhone event invites to be sent out on September the 7th for a September the 14th Apple event, pre-orders beginning on Friday, September the 17th, and the first handsets arriving with customers on September the 24th. So not long to wait now, less than a month before they will be in hand. So let me know in the comments what you're most excited about with the iPhone 13 and if you think any of this is wrong. Plus, will you be upgrading this year, and if so, to which model? And a big thank you to Apple Tomorrow once again for the awesome renders in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget iCave Answers will be out later today too, so stay tuned for that and make sure you've got notifications switched on.